Good morning.
Good morning.
Back in my office now, so I'm trying to get used to the big ring light right in front of my face because I'm in the basement.
Yeah, yesterday I rotated my office 180 degrees so I don't have the giant window behind me, and now I have natural light and I don't need a ring light.
Look at you.
It's actually, you can see my face now.
It's beautiful.
I know. I even have a
Oh,
desk lamp now too.
no. With all that Alaska money, this is what you got. Dang.
But today is my last day in Alaska.
Really? And so then you start your new contract, yeah? Or job?
Yeah, new job at a consulting company on Monday. And hopefully I'll have more time to dedicate to Porter because I'm going to really push for them to deliver solutions using Porter.
I was gonna say, like, push it to all your clients, like on the DL, be like.
So if you see me coming through with a PR updating the adopters README, that's because I got them sold on Porter.
Hell yeah. Dish is actually, I went to the Denver Devs meetup, and Dish was like super into it. I went because my partner got laid off, and like I was going to like support him through his first like tech meetup. And so I was like trying to be on the DL. I was like, oh, I just work at Microsoft, like nothing crazy. What do you do? I like just like casually mentioned Porter, and they're like, what is Porter? And like everyone just started asking questions. And I just had like 2 pieces of pizza that were going cold in front of me while like a line of people kept asking questions. It's like, shit, I just want to eat this pizza. So
yeah, that seems to be my experience when talking to people about Porter. They're like, oh yeah, that's the tool.
Yeah, it
solves
all their pain points.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
That they thought they'd been quietly struggling with themselves too, right?
Hi, Ralph. Welcome back to the United States. It's so nice to see you.
You're very kind. I am sitting in a cafe in Newark, Delaware, and it's a charming place. Little Goat Roasting Company. And I'm on the cell phone, so if it flakes out or if I disappear, it's my fault, nobody else's. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, Ralph.
The only other thing is I've got about 10 or 15 minutes, so I wanted to show up and see what's going down and say hi to everybody and answer any questions if anybody has any for me. But otherwise, then I'm going to bug out because guess what? I got to go find a hotel.
Ralph is forever traveling. Okay. I've been alerted that I need to bring out the CNCF code of conduct before meetings. That's my bad. I am not super good at what the CNCF wants. I just ask them for things. I don't do whatever they tell me. So just remember, this is a CNCF meeting. Here's the COC in the chat. Check it out. Read the whole thing. Read it before you go to bed at night, every night. Have fun. Cool. That being said, I haven't pulled up the Porter thing. If anyone has any items on the agenda while I pull up the HackMD, go ahead and you can bug Ralph before he leaves.
Nothing specific for Ralph. I kind of going through the outputs, installation output stuff. I think I put that on the agenda, kind of demonstrate the work in progress that's happening with that so we can close 63 and get to V1.0. So I have it. The only installation that actually has outputs is part of the Porter Argo demo situation. So what I'm working on now outside of the logic that's necessary to finish it is packaging the gRPC servers as a dedicated deployment that will be ran alongside Porter when you launch it, right? So that will always be there. And then, pinning the service to be what it is. So when you connect to the client, it will be able to do that. Seems to work great. I think I pasted the output in the channel. I don't know how people, I don't think I had any questions around it besides like controller runtime 15, updating how you do owner references and stuff like that. Like they have this thing. So basically, if I delete the outputs right now, it's going to get recreated because that parent object gets requeued once you delete the owner, a child dependent object, right? So it gets requeued and then it creates outputs again, which is awesome, right? Because it's always going to take the latest part of that situation. So I think that's kind of what we want. I updated the annotation on the installation. So I split the PR up into two things. So like one of them is just creating the API v1 installation output CR and CRD and all the scaffold that comes with it. I put some issues because we have to like, there was a make file that KubeBuilder gives you when you instantiate a project. I think we deleted, but we kind of need that in a sense so we can like scaffold the rest of the stuff if you're adding any API stuff. But don't necessarily need it because I think I've seen some mage targets. I think like controller generate, so those are there. But however, I want to make sure those are like adequately defined in the pipeline. So like you can run the diff if you create or change anything in the API that's reflected back with the CRDs that are responding and stuff, and then update them because I think we're like at V0.8 and controller runtimes at .12.1 now because we're at code 120 or 121 depending on when you update it. Other than that, that's kind of like the progress that's happening with that. So I don't know if I need to share the screen because there's nothing amazing to show you besides what's besides deleting the output thing and then showing what outputs come from that situation. But oh yeah, I can share it, I guess.
I think there might be a few integration test scenarios that we want to run through with the CRD,
Yes.
like changing versions of mods or of bundles that are associated with an installation and changing what outputs are associated, you know, like with the new version, we add a new output and then changing doing an upgrade and the output changes. And, you know, like there's quite a few edge cases we probably want to hit for testing this. We should probably do like a list of things we want to actually cover because we're going to have to write a few bundles to
exactly.
Actually,
so I think that was kind of the questions I was having around like the initial implementation because like that's kind of there. I just want to be able to, I don't want to submit it and then act like we're finished because there's some things that we need to probably run and catch before we but this part of the process is at least bring the initial step forward to where we weren't before. So
sure. No,
but again, that PR is work in progress, ready for feedback. It's again, it looks long because even though I split it, I didn't rebase off the stuff that is going to get hopefully merged within this week, the installation output CR. So once they get merged and I rebase, it'll be a lot smaller because a lot of those generated files will be gone. And then we can hopefully get some feedback around that. But yes, I do agree with the scenario situation. I was trying to update some of our tooling. So like a lot of that might be new mage file targets and pipelines and situations, stuff like that. But yeah, that was pretty much all I had. I just wanted to make sure that that was communicated well because I know scrolling past chats sometimes gets like, I'll just catch up. So at least that's what I do sometimes. I don't scroll all the way back up to whatever I missed. I just kind of go back to what I need to know. Yeah, if anybody has any questions around that or the work that's being done or still needs to be done beyond the test scenario situation, just please feel free to ping me in the chat. And I don't know if I'm the only person who put something on the agenda today, but
it's okay. I am so good at putting things on the agenda. I just put it in the chat instead of putting it on the agenda.
Okay.
No, and Ralph wanted to bring up the same thing, which is the doc stuff. So basically, also Stephen, I asked if you could put your integrations test in that company. I was trying to type and talk so fast, could not catch up.
I'll sync up with Brian on some of the things that we would want to see covered for that too, because I'm sure he's got some opinions.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more about heading to Japan right now than code, but I'll do my best.
Vacation mindset.
Focus on the important thing, Brian. Focus on the important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Porter.
Yeah, Porter. Only Porter.
not Kit Kats.
No. On his screen, it's just like tubs of matcha Kit Kats. He's like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I think focusing and having help on integration tests and that kind of stuff. Stephen, I know we've been pinging you more and more. I'm like, I told Troy, I'm like, go get Stephen to do it because I don't know. So and Brian, since you'll be in Japan, I will try not to bug you, but on that flight, we'll definitely bug you, don't worry. You'll need something to do. Cool. So that being said, integrations testing at HagMD, and then let's go into docs. So Phil created this amazing epic for like how we should like kind of revitalize docs. And then as I went into Dish and had people kind of click through our docs, I passed the reorg and then also brought in Ludwig, who is proudly sleeping right now, which he should be, and that kind of stuff. It was like, hey, like things are kind of hard to read, but also like we're getting a lot of 404s. So I had Ludwig go ahead and go through and find all the things that were 404ing and like update the paths. And then came into a meeting where we were like, how should we actually like understand, like how can we like rip off other good doc websites and make it ours? So we came up with this like Google Doc where basically Ludwig went through, and this is like such hard work. I would never want to do this. He went through all of our like .md files and put it into the Google Doc so that we could see all of the different, there's like 100. I don't know if you'll understand how many docs we have. It's insane. I just want to get y'all's vibe on it. Like if you think these are good headings, if you think that like this is kind of a good layout, and then like, or, you know, do you like the naming scheme, have ideas on namings, or you hate all of it, that's totally fair. Let me see if I can get the doc. It's in a Google Doc just because it is easiest to kind of edit in here.
I am not anti-Google Doc. I just want to be clear. Use the tool that's right for you. Okay.
We try to avoid all
Trademark,
Microsoft
registered trademark for Ralph. There it is. For the record, Office is fantastic and better when you have 1 or 2 people. Once you get past 1 or 2 people, then Google Docs is just better. That's the way it is.
It's such a funny like terminal, like this is better for 1 person. And if you have more than 1 person, it's such a fun idea for designing software.
It works perfect up to 3 people. It is vastly better.
Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It is vastly better for 1 to 3 people. So if you want to do limited interaction, it is, and this is Ralph's opinion, not anybody else.
Mr. Microsoft.
Dr. Microsoft for you. But if you want to have interactive collaboration across any number of things with 1 to N people, then Google Docs is just better. You know, there's no question about it. That's Ralph's world.
Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, I gotta find the mute button. There it goes. Yeah, I was just gonna. What's that?
You gonna argue about Word?
No, I'm actually in a little flux here. I'd be broadcasting myself. I gotta head out here soon. But no, I just wanted to kind of chime in on the doc stuff. I think everyone knows, like we pushed a PR when I kind of got attached to this and tried to make some things a little more, you know, navigatable, if that's a term. But I guess, you know, I would just, you know, my opinion on this is this is a pretty big, like pretty big deal, but also this is a pretty big effort as well. My opinion is I think the docs persona needs to be changed. It really needs to be like if we're trying to grow this project and get this to the masses, the docs really need to be way more operator friendly. You know, think about like the large user base that will want to consume and or use you know, Porter will not, you know, they won't be code level deep, right? You know, they're just going to want to know, hey, what binary do I need to run and what params I need to pass to it to make things happen. Like I don't care about the Go files, etc. So that's one thing. And then the epic that I had out there, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here it is. I'll just post this in the chat.
While you're looking, Phil, I want to emphasize to Brian and Steven that I like the org that is in the doc, like that's really great, and I think it's super important. But more important is to get your ideas about whether you like it. Like, does this? You people have been working in this for a long time, and so you sort of absorbed everything in Porter by osmosis and by creating it, right? And so the real question is, from your perspective, is this something we should invest in? You know, like we think it is, but it really, like this is kind of thing where it's like, you have the ability to shape where we're going to put some effort here for the project. And so it's really important we do the thing that you think is the high order bit for the content. So I just wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And just looking at this table of contents, like there's already, like, I can see the lessons learned in it, like acknowledging deploying onto different clouds, that sort of thing, is, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I've struggled using the docs in the past.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so
And I mean, it's a common sort of experience for people, and then they get, but once they understand it, they start to focus on the things they've done. And of course, Carolyn loved writing docs, but she couldn't do everything, and so there are a lot of them are one-offs, and that's why it's so fragmented. Stephen and Brian, we'd like to propose that we'll start investing and making these changes, with the understanding that you can wade in and say, no, let's do this different. There's a couple of highlighted things where like maybe the naming needs to change, or maybe we want to do this, that, and the other thing. We can consider those things in flux. Like we just want to make sure that you think it's a good thing to start work on from your perspective.
Yeah. The one thing I think about if we're looking at changes like this is looking at that term mix-ins, like mix-ins versus plugins. I feel like it's always a confusing thing. I think actually
and plugins overview.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it may be changing it from mix-ins to extensions might have more context.
Yeah, that's a good one. What would you change? Would you keep plugins then? Because I feel like plugins
I think
work.
so. I mean, because if you think about it, what is a mix-in doing? It's extending Porter with some best practices for Terraform or for Helm or for like when you say the word mix-ins to people, you always have to explain what that means, and then you throw in mix-ins and plugins. And they're like, okay, so what's a plugin? What's a mix-in?
Let me throw something at both you and Stephen in particular, because like, I talk with Troy and Sarah and Phil all the time, right? Like, so my brain is fixed. You tell me how this sounds to you. So this is the way I've understood it always, that a mix-in was an extension for the bundle, and a plugin was an extension for the runtime.
Yeah. I mean, a mix-in, it's a shortcut, for the bundle. It's all about bundle creation.
And if that's the case, we could even call everything plugins, and we could call them, and mind you, I'm not making a proposal. I'm actually thinking, because you raised
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
Well,
like
I'm
a
thinking
runtime and plugin versus a bundle
plugin, but there are bundle plugins and there are runtime plugins. As a way of sort of driving a line between the difference for my brain. If you think, I'll tell you what, take your time, because
right.
This is a living thing. But I think that from my brain says, if we're looking for a name that means extensibility point, but the point you need to know is, what does it extend? Then we're going to end up fighting between add-ons, mix-ins, plugins, like it's just going to be the same. They're all extensibility points. And so I think they're like, it might even be something where we want to say there are bundle extensions and there are runtime extensions, for example. And we could use plugins then, or we could use mix-ins. Mix-ins a little more jargony, a little more kind of, it's not really clear. It's like, is that a programming language thing? Is it don't know. So let's leave that open and talk about it on the doc. What do we think?
Yeah, because like now I'm like thinking like how, because a lot of this doc stuff is, let's take from Helm, from Terraform, let's take all of their terminology and move it into here. So now I'm thinking, well, how do other people name this stuff? Because I want to make it so that when you use Porter, we use terminology and a docs reference points that you're used to,
Alan, you just dropped something in. You want to chime in for the heck of it?
Nah, I'm good. Just follow. Thank you for the opportunity.
I like calling it bundle plugins and runtime plugins too, though. I like the term plugins as well. So
I think the standardization and the dividing line clarity is really all we need to hit. But I think mix-ins versus plugins, like the first step could be just like we have this is what a mix-in is, this is what a plugin is, and then we can go back and actually hammer out what we like in terms of name changing too. Oh yeah. But I have to stop off. But I think that doc, in your opinion, Stephen, Phil, Stephen, Brian, and Alan, on that doc, your opinions are going to be the things that we drive toward, because we do really want people to walk up and just have an easier way of understanding what we're doing here and where to jump in. So I think that's really important. Sound good?
I like that.
Y'all figure it out. I've got to go to the hotel.
Ralph just did the hard part of saying like, you gotta go figure it out. I'm just bringing up the pain point and I go do the work.
You know, the interesting thing, it's really easy to find agreement on a direction that people want to go. What's really hard is that name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actual letters turn out to be really interesting. I think it's a human thing because words mean so much to us in terms of a feeling or emotion. It's not just like, so we just work really hard at it. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your suggestions. I'm quite sure they'll drive the right direction. And then we'd love to begin that investment, right?
Right.
All right.
Cool.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Cheers.
Going on the words thing, Helm has a glossary and I was like, this is sick. This is super sick. We should have a glossary for all of our terms. And I think at least like creating a glossary page, at least in like, I don't know, like a PR, it will be a nice place to have like a living document for us to discuss, like, what should we name these terms? Bring in more people who, you know, probably aren't in the Porter Slack, and like bring in people off of GitHub and that kind of stuff. So maybe that's something Phil or Ludwig, who isn't here right now, but one of you two could create like a just an MD file, and it could be just have like the base Porter keywords, which is like bundle, mix in, what are our other keywords? Is it just bundle, runtime, build time, operator, agent, client?
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, I don't want to trivialize this. This is kind of a heavy lift in my opinion, right? It's almost like this should be like an enhancement proposal. You know, let's put a doc together and let's kind of just iterate through it and come to some agreements before we even start touching stuff at this point. That's kind of my thoughts on it right now. Yeah.
I think I'm just trying to get like to a living document on GitHub for everyone to kind of come together on. So I'm totally with you on that. We shouldn't be like merging anything this week, but mainly just getting like a lot of feedback. And so I think a really good way to get feedback, either like a proposal, and that proposal just goes over like, what are the Porter keywords and like, what should we name things, and should we change the names of things, and what do users expect out of these naming conventions? Or, you know, or just like creating a PR and then getting like soliciting comments on that PR. Whatever is easiest out of those two is totally fine. The key pain point is like, I'm hoping to have like the docs kind of in like an okay state, not perfect, by KubeCon. So when users start using the docs, they feel like a lot comfortable. And so this kind of like small organization plus like figuring out like an easy user guide, which is basically just saying like, if I'm a new user on the website, I want to go to install Porter, and install Porter should lead me to getting started, and getting started leads me through these getting started pages. So finding that like user flow, just like a basic one, I think is like cool. That's like our MVP. That's like our by end of September, this is what we should have. That being said, we're also pushing for operator v1.0 by end of September. So this is mostly on community and Ludwig, if he has the time to do that. And you, Phil, of course.
Yeah. I'm fine with a doc, because and then if we want to, you know, if we want to come up with the things that we need to do absolutely by KubeCon, then let's go ahead and get agreement on those items, and then let's kind of burn them down. But yeah, I would still say that we may even want to investigate a new theme for this whole website. Like there's a lot to kind of consider. Again, there's no search right now. There's like a ton of stuff that we can enhance on this.
Right.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we start with the doc, or do we continue on with this doc here? I mean, this looks like it's like a TOC outline, but do we want to have something that's a little that integrates this too, and then talks about all the other points as well?
Well, I still think a PEP would be like super useful for things like, hey, we should update like the website feel, and updating the website like theme would update the feel, would update kind of the Porter branding, right? So like this all kind of like ties in together. So that is like a huge PEP. That is,
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
talking about, how are we as a brand? And I think that's
Yep.
totally PEP worthy. As far as this, I was going to add it into your Epic once we kind of agreed more on like naming conventions. You can see on the Google Doc, I left a bunch of notes on like, I don't know, there's like for advanced users, for users, active users of Porter, there are things on like how to get logging, how to do like migrations, things like that. And I'm trying to figure out what do we call this like active users of Porter section, which just kind of has like troubleshooting and things like that. And so once the namings are kind of down, like nailed down, then it goes into the Epic. And this is just kind of like a small issue onto the big overarching issue of like, oh man, our docs need a lot of love.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, along those lines, okay, no, I was going to move to another topic, but yeah, I'll pause there if we're still talking docs.
No, I just want to call out, this will be the last thing, which is Brian and Stephen, a big thing that Ralph was harping on was for us to basically see what your opinions are on these naming conventions. And if you're cool with this layout, which is awesome if you are, and if you aren't, that's also cool. Like we can revitalize it, we can change it. You can send me like sites of tools you really like and I can update it. But basically there are things like, I don't know, what do we call like under mixins? We have like established mixins or like supported mixins we already have. And then also like the, whatever, I have it named right now, I can't find it of course, but it's like active user documentation. What do I call a person who's running Porter already? Usually I would call that like an operator doc, but we have an operator. So what would you call like a person running Porter, and you want to find like a troubleshooting guide? What would the heading be that you wanted to click? Does that make sense? Also, Alan, feel free to chime in here too, but whoever.
Yeah. No, I think it just means, I get it. Like I'll take an action to just kind of look through the table of contents. I like your idea of pointing to other tool ecosystems where we just like their docs. I think it's good to have that reference point.
Yeah, still, just it's open source, so you're just taking from other people.
Yeah,
we all share.
Right.
But yeah, that's my biggest pain point is under naming of headings and making sure that like as a user of Porter, y'all would go, yeah, I would click this heading when I expect these documents. So I'll let you like kind of cruise through it, and then I'll also like tag you on the headings that I'm really stuck on, and then maybe y'all can help me brainstorm, and then we'll move that into the GitHub thing, and then we'll move that into like, okay, like into the GitHub issue, then we'll move it into like a real action item. Cool. Phil, you said you had, oh, go ahead.
Just real quick, I'm back here. I missed pretty much the entire docs discussion, but I did want to mention something. So I do have somebody on our last team, which he did so much Porter work at F5, and his biggest gripe was about the docs, and he had some very specific complaints about the docs and finding how things worked. So I would love, like, once we have something that we feel is better, I'm probably going to bug him and say, hey, can you go through these docs and tell me if all of your original concerns are addressed? Because that was his basically his only gripe was like, I can't find how to do this. I don't know, like, this is not how it should be. So we'll definitely get some good feedback from him once we have something in place.
Yeah, and if he has like, if he wants to write, like can remember the top 3 things that were bugging him, I would love to see that. But my goal with this is that one, it's like expected, like we're using best practices off of other tools. But two, like I would love to have a search functionality, but the goal is that you don't have to use it all the time. Like I should have documents in the expected areas for users so that they kind of feel like they know and they're comfortable and they're like in our site and they know the docs. That's the goal.
So I know his biggest gripe was he used the docs from two different ways. He's like, I want to write a bundle. Okay. I am a bundle author. How can I use the Porter docs to help me write a bundle? Versus I am I'm managing Porter for a team, like using the operator or something like that. How can I use, as an administrator, how can I use the Porter docs to help me understand like how the configs work and how how the actual runtime of Porter works? So those were kind of his two different use cases that he approached the docs from. And so having those users in mind as we write these docs, as a bundle author, I want to use the docs to write a better bundle. As someone who runs Porter bundles and manages installations, I want to use the docs to understand how to do that with Porter, right? They're kind of two different approaches to using the docs. And his thing was, is like everything was just kind of slammed together. Like it was not very clear on how to do the thing he was trying to do.
Yeah.
I agree with that. So yeah, and I think you probably missed that when I was chiming in earlier, was like, we got to be clear on like the persona of the docs.
Yes.
and who we're like focused on, because what I was saying was, if you want to go to the masses, this has to go to the operators, and it has to be like operator kind of friendly, because again, they're not at the code level. They just they just want a binary, and you tell them all the parameters to do things and for them to accomplish. And I noticed that was tough even when I like approached the docs. Like I was like, okay, this is kind of, it's a little devy here, and then it's a little ops here, and it didn't have any flow where I just wanted to accomplish like the tutorial, and it was challenging. But yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I was out from 9:15 to 9:30, so I think I missed everything you said.
No, and I think there's even more, like even from like a plugin standpoint or a mixing standpoint, like, and I've noticed as I was kind of like, sitting down and going like, we have like an intro, and then we have a getting started, and then we have tutorials, and I was like, I can't tell the difference between some of these. Some of these are kind of like the same things, and then just figuring out how we can take all of this, and one, like as a user, I want to go to the Porter website and be able to install it pretty seamlessly and going through getting started and get that like on Rails experience. But two, yeah, understanding exactly like I'm using the operator. I want to be able to go the operator's docs seamlessly. Is that a different area of the docs? Is that a different like, heading, or like how do we even do that? So I think gathering use cases of personas, and then that going into the big doc argument of like, we're restructuring the docs, we're restructuring the website and the branding, and like we're going to kind of like revitalize Porter, I think is a huge thing. But yeah, I didn't think about, I've seen it. I've seen like a lot of like, we have like bundles for like people building bundles, and then bundles for people running bundles, and just like, it's just like, I don't know. We got a lot of content. I appreciate the note. Phil, I don't want you to lose your point that I know was a long time ago, but you said you had another thing that wasn't docs. I want to make sure to call that out. Do you remember what it was and feel okay
Nope.
sharing still? Nope,
it's gone. Sorry.
Damn, sorry.
It might come back, but I'm juggling some stuff here. I'm actually gonna have to take off. But yeah, I got it. Yeah, you had mentioned like items or deliverables, like for KubeCon. Like, can we either make an issue and just kind of like describe all of that so we know what we're tracking? Because again, we're in August, and it's going to be November here pretty soon, and I just want to make sure like we all have some awareness on kind of what we're trying to achieve by KubeCon.
Sorry, I was typing down your note because I'm trying to learn how to type and talk. Yes, so I think I'll add it onto the operator FAQ1, because that's basically like where most of my like, I want this done by KubeCon like notes go into, which I know can get kind of messy, but because of how we're organizing stuff, it can get kind of like weird. I know you've noticed we have a bunch of projects. Some of them are useful and like some of them are not. And I think I just kind of got to like clean out stuff eventually. But yeah, so I have in the operator v1.0 ethic issue that like we should do docs, but this is kind of different. So maybe we could make you're
Yeah,
gonna
I
hate me for
wouldn't.
this. We
Yeah, I
could make
wouldn't
another
bundle that
GitHub
up
board.
No, I don't want to make another GitHub board. I just we can use like labels or something and just say KubeCon in a 2023 or something,
That's a good
just so
idea.
we can easily filter on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't associate docs with like operator. I think that's even more confusing.
How to make our organization even worse.
Yeah.
No, the label's a good idea. I like that. And then we can go through and tag things. This is recorded, so I shouldn't say this. I'd like to 1.21, like move up to 1.21 by KubeCon, and then operator v1.0 by KubeCon, and at least some like okay getting started docs. And I think Porter's fine where it is for KubeCon. I don't know if anyone has any like, this is anything we should release by KubeCon for Porter. Yeah, you're good. Me too. I'm operator's gotten all my love right now. So for Porter's just whenever I get a dependency update, I'm like, eh. Ellen, Brian, do you have any feedback on like things you'd like us to do by KubeCon, or like things in Porter or operator or docs you'd like to see by KubeCon?
I like the focus on the operator. I mean, honestly, like, you know, we're still thinking a lot of like a new user experience. And so I think it's better to have like a more singular focus going into that. And like, you don't want to have an intro conversation with someone about Porter and then go, oh yeah, and here's a more complex thing, dependencies on top of it, while I've got the fire hose on, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I like that idea of like, you know, focusing on a smaller message from everyone.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I tried to explain dependencies to someone at the like meetup. It was just it was like, I should not talk about this to people. They are not, it's not gonna click. Yeah, I agree. Focused. And basically my focus for KubeCon is like new user experience, right? I want people to be able to, while they're at KubeCon in, you know, one of our talks, be able to like go through our docs and they have a decent experience and they're able to get Porter running and see what it does, or do the same with the operator. That's kind of where it is. So that being said, Phil, do you have any other comments, or we're going to probably pivot back to the operator for the last 20 minutes?
No, yeah, that's it for me.
Cool.
I'm gonna peel off here, but thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up all those comments and for the continued work on docs. It is huge that we need to focus on that, so I appreciate it. Okay, so Troy, Brian, Stephen, Alan, I know you haven't worked on operator too much, so this might be a little bit of brain overload, but basically we talked about, I had the idea of wanting to kill the Porter ops, like Porter installing the Porter operator, mainly because I feel like it might be confusing to users. But Stephen, I know you were for keeping it. I'll just explain my point. I didn't realize how separated Porter operator and Porter can be. And basically I like went and did the kube config and connected Porter operator or Porter to the operator. And I was like, okay, now I do like an install. I'll install a bundle, Porter install bundle, do the thing. And it said like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then I went and I looked in the operator, and operator was like, I don't have it. That's not how this works. And I was like, oh, okay. But it's like, I didn't get a fail message. So, and because of like the outputs API, I'm wondering like, should we keep Porter operator, Porter installing Porter operator? God, there's too many, I'm saying it too much.
So here's my opinion on having a bundle that installs kind and the operator, basically sets up a local kind and does the operator install. It is in like line with the spirit of Porter, where, so like right now, like I want to use the Porter Argo demo, which in my mind is a great place for creating and managing operator or installation of a whole ecosystem. But now I got to go clone down a repo, CD into that repo, run some make targets, which is fine. But like if I want a real quick demo platform getting started, this is the power of the Porter operator running in your system and what it can unlock for you. It would be nice as a quick demo to be able to just say Porter install blah. And then it's a packaging and distribution mechanism for whatever it is, your platform. So I don't think that's how we should suggest people actually run the Porter operator, but for introducing them to what the Porter operator is and a pre-canned solution that the Porter operator can unlock for their company or whatever it is, I think it's a great way to distribute that. And then it's like, okay, you like this? Well, here's how you actually run it at scale. Don't use the Porter bundle to run the Porter operator because that's kind of brittle and you can't move fast enough. But this gets you started. And oh, by the way, here's some examples of how to run it with Helm, with Customize, however you like. That's kind of my viewpoint on why we do both.
I'll second that real quick, just because that's exactly what game plan I had in store for that project. And I think Steven knows this, and Steven also knows that is exactly what I did for Nginx when I was working at F5. And I created a bundle that was a kind cluster. It would use the, you had to have the enable privilege flag or whatever it is, allow host access flag set when you run Porter. But it would basically, set up your kind cluster and install Nginx unit on it. And that's something they used at I don't know if it was a KubeCon or whatever conference they were at, but that's what the salespeople for Nginx used on the demo floor. And they just handed out, you run Porter this, and you get a demo of Nginx unit running on your laptop for you, And so that, we have all the scaffolding to make that happen. We just have to switch it to install the Porter operator stuff instead of Nginx unit. So.
All right. I see the use case for keeping the operator bundle, which is better than saying Porter installing Porter operator. You win. I should have just called it the bundle. But then we need to fix it. I don't know if anyone else has had trouble with it. Maybe it's just me being bad at computers, but
it uses some outdated techniques for creating kind clusters. It does some weird things around automatically generating the manifest YAMLs based, like it's kind of wonky. So it was
all set up for an older version of kind that has issues resolved in it. It's just never been updated.
So there's definitely some improvements we need to do for it, but I think it's super useful, especially coming into KubeCon. And it's like, hey, you went to the Porter keynote yesterday, right? Because Porter's going to get a keynote, of course.
You can't help that.
You all have Porter installed. Now you can quickly follow along with the operator demo by installing this bundle using Porter that you installed as part of the keynote yesterday, right?
Yeah, no, I see it. You're right. When you kind of pointed it out in the Slack chat, I was like, but my only concern is the blurring of boundaries of how the operator works. Cause I, as a user, was also like, oh, I just do this, but I now see kind of the delineation of this is, how the operator is supposed to run. It is supposed to be mostly you're running kubectl instead of Porter commands. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I'm not supposed to know Porter stuff. I'm supposed to know Kubernetes stuff, which is I get that.
As a Kube admin looking to install the Porter operator in a cluster I administer, I would never install it using Porter. That's just not how I would do it. I would use manifest. I would use kind, Helm, whatever, or Customize Helm, whatever my tool is. It would not be Porter. But as a way to package and distribute a demo of the operator running in kind, the Porter bundle is a Porter bundle slam dunk. The best way to do that, because that's what Porter does so well.
Yeah. Troy.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to figure out how to simulate the upgrade technique to try to see if we get the latest outputs. And I had a question around something about how do the latest outputs get put into the gRPC server? So next time I hit the endpoint, those things are there. I think that's kind of what I'm struggling with now. Like from the test scenario that I have, not test scenario, but the test installation that I have from the Porter Argo demo, I'm able to get those outputs for the test install that's in the demo workspace. But I mean, demo namespace, but I'm trying to see if I can update that to then have those be reflected back to the gRPC server. So then when I do that call the next time, I have a different set of outputs that are
I think
updated.
that the RPC calls is get latest outputs. So
Mhm.
it should always just get the newest if there's multiples.
So
Right, but how do I change that so I can get a newer set of outputs? I guess
Oh
is my
yeah,
point.
you'd have to upgrade a bundle or something like that. You may even be able to, there's like a annotation you can tweak in the resource that might re-trigger an install. I'm thinking off the top of my head here a little bit, but other than that, you'd have to have like a newer rev of the bundle and just change the bundle reference.
or you could also if you wanted to bypass the Argo stuff, because that repo is kind of tied heavily to the Argo platform use case. If you just go change like one of the inputs on the installation and then reapply it, right? So create a new version of the installation resource with a change in one of the inputs, like the delay, right? Make the delay a different second, then that should trigger a new run of the bundle, if I remember the bundle correctly, and that should change the outputs of the bundle, because the outputs we say what the bundle was called with. But if that doesn't work, then this is kind of what I was talking about. We might need to write a bundle that's a little bit more geared towards testing upgrade workflows with changing outputs too.
Yeah, because what I was doing, I was editing the installation, right? Which is what I would assume I could be able to do, because then it would, hopefully respond to new action, agent action, stuff like that, right? But I'm not seeing that change in the outputs, and I don't know if it was because.
Are you seeing a new run of the installation? Like, are you seeing the upgrade happen?
Yeah, like I see, like if I do get jobs in the namespace, it shows like the new, was this 20 minutes ago? Wait, let me get the installation, and then it should show me the action, right? Pull up the agent action, and we see status.
You are welcome and encouraged to share your screen as you feel
Yes,
like you want to do that.
For some reason did not. Okay, so can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so here is the installation. Okay, so here are the outputs, right? The installation. Right, I hate when people do this. I'm going to do it at the top. Okay, get installation output. Right, so it has the outputs for this installation, and these are them, right? If I go to installation, that's the one, right? So this is the Porter name. It's matching that. It's succeeded, whatever. If I edit that installation,
and I think there's a retry annotation that could be put in there
installation. What's it called? Because it's a longer name than. So if I edit this, and I assume you mean change these parameters. So I think this was at 3. I took this at 4.
Yeah.
If I change this to like 8 or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
The logs will show it like, let me see.
So this should kick off a new agent action.
Yeah, so this is the new job, right?
Can you actually see what that job does? Can you get the logs of it? To make sure that the bundle itself is actually rerunning instead of, because the agent action could kick off and then Porter just determined, hey, there's like, this is up to date. The installation is up to date. We're not going to do anything.
I gotta get the pod for the job, right? No, I could just, sorry, hold on. Can I just do job? Okay, so required output in supervisor is missing or has no default. Triggering because the parameters have changed.
Okay, so it did, but then it failed.
Yeah. It's missing or has no default.
Has no default. That's interesting. Okay.
So like if because I have this already, so if I do gRPC curl and I do that, it's going to show that there's no value, or the value is default, excuse me.
Okay, this is probably an issue more with the bundle than with, because we didn't really design this bundle to
Okay, no, if
well.
that gives me enough confidence to know that I'm not crazy doing something different where I expected it wouldn't pick up the changes, because it will, right? So like if I get the installation, why is it doing that today? Output. If I get that in this namespace and then I delete it because it's owned by the installation, to create it again. Right, so delete installation output.
So just
Like really
real quick,
slow
there
action.
is a retry annotation that can be put on a resource too.
Okay.
I just put an example of it in the chat.
If I delete it and then I try to get it again, it'll be there because it gets created all over again. Yes, I can. How do I stop sharing? Do I got to go back to let's see, start video ping? I don't know how to Zoom, y'all. I'm sorry. I work for a company that has their own. There it is. Is it?
Did it hide? It's in the little thing. It's like in the, what is it?
It
It's
says
like in
your
the,
screen sharing minutes, new share.
wait, I can
No,
probably,
I don't want to
I can probably make you stop. Wait,
pause
can I?
share.
Oh, I'm not
Pause.
Porter.
Pause your screen sharing. Stop share. Okay, cool.
There.
I have shared. I have Zoom today, y'all. Y'all should clap.
So, from the gRPC standpoint, there's nothing really intelligent that it does. It just runs the get latest installation outputs porter function, which should just go out and grab the most recent, because every output on an installation actually has an ID, but that get latest one should just grab the latest one that was applied in the back end.
Okay.
And so that means that the installation didn't succeed fully, which, I mean, we saw that because there's whatever's going on with that. I think I know what it is actually. Yeah, there is I bet that bundle or that output is not named on the upgrade because we didn't test upgrade. So we just need to make sure that we have a bundle that supports.
Yeah, and I guess my question, and this is helping me satisfy that requirement. Apologies for cutting you off. It's just that I didn't want to feel like I had to go then update the gRPC with the latest stuff if it's doing that already, and then all I have to do is worry about the client side. Great. Okay, yes. Cool. That's fine with me.
There is no intelligence in the gRPC. It is a very thin wrapper of native Porter library.
Okay, so yeah, so I guess my next part of this, and I apologize to turn this part of the meeting into a troubleshooting session, but more or less like, and I kind of did want Alan to see if he had anything. I didn't want to cut him off because I know he has some ideas about the stale bot. There's conversations going on right now where somebody doesn't like it, but to each their own. I know a company that does open source stuff too that uses stale bot, but I think from a CNCF perspective, I think it's maybe relegated to the contribution levels of our project. So anyway, okay. I will say if Alan has anything to contribute, I guess give him like the next 5 minutes if he wants to say so. But thank you, Stephen and Brian. I definitely appreciate it.
Just real quick to circle back to this, I did double check that bundle actually doesn't even have upgrade installed or upgrade defined in the YAML. And that's exactly what's going to happen when you try to run an upgrade is it has a required output that's not being sourced in that step. So I can put a fix in and I'll get you a new version of that bundle that actually does that.
Nice. Thanks, Stephen. And like I said, the work in progress is still up there for review. I don't plan on getting that merged anytime soon. It's just available. If you want to pull it down, troubleshoot with it or whatever like that, feedback, greatly appreciated, and the installation output CR PR is up as well. But I don't have anything else. Sarah, do you have anything else as far as like conducting the meeting? I wanted to give Alan some time because he's been here the last two. We never spoke.
No,
Besides
no,
saying if he wants to, I'm not saying he has to, but I think his
Yeah.
he was.
we can let him go. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm all right. I think almost all the questions I posted earlier, and yeah, been answered. So
Cool.
Okay, cool.
We're all like very energized and
Right.
super excited for Porter, and mainly that's my nice way of saying sometimes we're big talkers, so I want to make sure we always leave a space. Feel free to like interject us or yell at us, like we're fine for us. We'll learn to like settle down, but I appreciate it. And then I saw that you pinged that you wanted maintainers to respond on that thread. Do you have any feelings on like adding Stalebot versus the points brought up, or do you have a vibe?
So personally, I think I see a lot of the projects use it. So I feel like the pros outweigh the cons, in my opinion. So, but at the same time, yeah, I think Laz has like also his opinion and with some really valid points. So I'll leave the decision to you guys. So yeah.
Appreciate it. I haven't read the thread, Troy. I think you've been more on top of it than I have. I'm gonna read the thread with Troy, and let's talk about maybe there's some things that he is bringing up that we can integrate into Stalebot, and like maybe like kind of like numb those pain points as much as we can, and then just continue to have a constructive conversation about it. Mainly the reason I want Stalebot is because it's hard to keep on top of everything, and it's hard to keep on the issues that I haven't touched, and like if they're important, that kind of stuff. And usually what Stalebot does is it forces people to ping me directly and say, look at this, before the bot comes and gets me. And so it'll kind of like really refocus my attention on issues that people are really upset about. So we'll keep on like in the thread talking about that. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, big thing is I'm encouraging everyone, if they feel comfortable, to give talks at Porter at their local, like, I don't know, dev meetups or whatever. Or we're going to be doing webinars. I have access to the Porter YouTube channel. So if you have like talks or demos you want to show, I'm happy to throw it on there. The goal right now for me is that I'm going to build like a what is Porter, how is Porter, why is Porter type of deck. We're going to get some illustrators to come in with some cute little designs and like make like a Porter cat emotion pack of like little stickers and everything, so that we could just you can go to your normal like dev days and just take that slide and then do whatever bundle or example that you want to do. So
hey Sarah,
yeah.
Pester me about sending some of the PowerPoints I already have around this. I've got a little library of like, oh, here's a whatever, archaeological dig of what a bundle looks like with a big immutable stamp on it and things like that I was using to communicate some of this. And so, yeah, maybe some of that can help too.
Even like making, I don't know how other projects do this, and I know it's 11, so this is my last point, but we'll keep it we'll move it to Slack, is we should have a place where we're keeping our slide designs and like these like working Google Docs, like having a G drive that would be great. So I'm going to see if the CNCF has like a Google Drive that we can use, or Porter has one already in our like Gmail account, and then we'll move a lot of stuff and those slide designs into there. So cool. I will see you all on the internet. Thank you for such a great discussion. This is amazing. It's nice to have so many people here. So
real quick,
yeah.
sanity check for something I had. Are we still having issues with running Porter in the latest versions of Docker, or did that ever get fixed?
No, we can't fix that. That's because of,
but I thought Docker may have fixed it in a newer version. I
wasn't sure if they had fixed it.
4.20 is out. I haven't checked it. Run it. If you guys have an M1 or an M2, you need to run it on an M1 or an M2.
Yeah.
I have a friend that can do it, but one of you two do it and let me know if there's an issue on the newest release. I even tried, we could talk about this in the channel, but Hopefully it's fixed. Sound good?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be huge before KubeCon though, right? Like we should probably target that because we can't say, oh yeah, here's Porter, but you got to run an old version of Docker or it doesn't work.
I know. Well, we'll figure it out. Let's open up another issue or like revitalize that issue and let's tag it with the KubeCon label. Maybe that's something we should do. All right, cool. Thank you all so much. I will see you on the internet.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.